Greetings and salutations, gamers. Welcome to Cast Co-op, the podcast in which three podcast hosts cast together. I am one of your hosts, Luke Lore, the Insipid Ghost and host of the Xbox Expansion Pass, joined by my big brother and yours, Mr. Ainsley Bowden from Season Gaming's #2 podcast, The Big Cast.
What's happening, everyone? Good to be here. I am rather miserable with a half fractured foot right now, but I'm hanging out, doing well. We've got coffee, we've got liquor, so it should be a fun show.
Oh my gosh, you doing a little? Are you mixing them? Is this like a special drink? Or you got two separate cups.
Two separate cups. Although this is a vodka infused with coffee. So,
oh, that's fancy.
For those of you who don't know, how did you break your foot?
I took a slap shot. I play ice hockey and took a slap shot to the side of my leg.
Ooh, and that's what did you in?
Hard shot.
Wow, you really are getting feeble.
Pucks are hard. You ever taken a slap shot? Don't feel good.
So it was the puck that, not like the guy's stick, but the puck is what hit you.
No, I was standing in front of the goalie and our defenseman took the shot, and it was my fault because when you play hockey, all your protection's in the front, right? So you're supposed to face the puck, and I was standing sideways, and it hit me right on the side of the leg in the little gap in the skate, and I had to leave the game, and now I'm dealing with a multi-week injury, which is just
Did
awesome.
you cry? Did you cry
A little bit? Yeah, I cried a little bit. I tried not to show it though, man. I tried to be strong.
Does your wife go to the games?
She's been to some. She doesn't go to all of them. No.
I just feel like
I just think it was Ames
like,
taking the shot, and he's just like, "Oh, fiddlesticks."
See, I wanted to be like, I'm trying to impress my wife, and she's like, "You're so tough." But if she's not there, it's like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Babe doesn't hurt that bad.
Ainsley James, not again.
My wife knows, like, I've been hurt so many times playing hockey over there. She just knows. Like, I went back to the locker room, started to get changed. I text her and I said, took a shot, can't walk. I have to leave the game, be home soon. And she just laughs because there's been many texts where I'm like, I can't drive, I can't walk, I can't move. I think I broke my ribs again. Yeah,
I like that.
Well, let us introduce our third panelist, the one and only Joseph Moran, host of the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast. Fresh here after recovering an episode, not recovering, re-recording, because that's what he does. He's here for you, dear listeners.
That's right.
Joseph Moran, welcome. How are you?
Honestly, when you come out from a second recording, like that was the take.
Yeah,
that was the take.
Yeah.
This episode really good because it kind of said some frustrations that I've had over some conversations we've been having as a quote unquote community on Twitter. And
gaming community or trophy
gaming
community?
Okay, gaming
okay.
Community.
Gotcha.
My community's fantastic.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Like
You just had one of those damn technical hiccups where your recording got lost or something?
Yeah. So what happened was Kyle dropped all of a sudden. He lost internet.
Yeah.
And he dropped from the Zen cacher call. And then the Zen cacher call got corrupted because of that.
Oh, man.
So half of the episode existed, but the other half, no dice.
That's interesting. That's the first time I've heard of that happening with Zencaster.
Shame. There
Usually
was
pretty
a way
good service, like for podcasters.
Very good.
For 3 hosts.
Yeah. Very good. There was a way to record it, but there was like 7 steps. And I'm like, I don't feel like going over this at 11 o'clock at night. So let's just redo this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we did in this week's episode. I'm glad we did because, we talk about that loyalty program and, all that other stuff. So, yeah, it's good. It was a good call at the end of the day.
I'm glad it worked out. I know how much it's frustrating when that stuff happens.
Yeah.
I was very angry with you. So angry with you. Y'all, the audacity to say trophy room greater and more important than everything.
Yeah.
I was just like, what about Cast Co-op, man? This is where the people are.
Telling you. And his patrons don't even know what he says about him behind the scenes. You know what I mean? That's the true crime right there.
I know, that's the thing. Hey, guys, can you see now you can actually tell I'm Hispanic by the tan I've been getting?
Yes, I can.
I'm getting some.
You look good.
Yeah, the color's back.
You can also tell that I am not.
Yeah, how am I the vampire of this? Because
I have eyelids.
Maybe I started wearing my glasses again because I don't like how the camera picks it up.
camera picks it up.
I don't.
Air
Yeah, like I've
quotes.
always had the red thing, but like I'm not as pale as my camera makes me. That's for sure.
Sure.
I am.
That's for sure. Are you? Are you for real?
I'm real pale. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not tan, but like I'm not as white as it looks, I guess.
So,
I
like-
didn't storm a capital, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say from QAnon shaman to Casper the Friendly Ghost, you're somewhere
Yeah, not quite.
just
Yeah,
a couple shades. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, got
yeah,
it.
that's cool.
Got it.
Oh man. Well, boys, our primary topic today is going to be determining which is the best studio from each respective first party, Sony or Microsoft. We don't count Nintendo because we don't know enough about them and but
Spoiler alert, it's the one that makes Splatoon.
that's actually there you go. Did it. There we go. That's a primary portion of our topic, but I think we really need to get started on the appetizer here. $70 games. Haynes, would you like to go?
I can't do this. I can't do this anymore, guys. I'm leaving. I'll see you guys later. Yeah,
Gaming's biggest problem. He's out.
It's done. We gotta put a stop to the people that want $10 extra.
Is my Last of Us 1 copy here yet? That's all I'm waiting for.
Now, here's the thing.
Jeez.
Here's the thing. As someone who isn't gonna get that copy for free personally, I really can't wait. I'm buying 2 copies. Like that's what's happening. Can't wait to see it. Oh, Angel muted.
Okay,
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
Get it together.
To rant about this for a second, right? Like,
Sure.
I was joking. Who was I joking with? I was joking with Eric Jackson on Twitter. And we were like, I don't know how we got onto it. We were like, I wonder if there's car rental fanboys. And we started joking about like Hertz versus Avis versus Enterprise. And as we were joking through it, about like, you paid $48 for that rental. I paid $38 because I have Car Pass and I don't have to pay full price for things.
It's $5 more for a hybrid.
Yeah, it just sounded so absurd, right? And it's like, that's the point. That's how stupid these people sound with this stuff. And not just $70 games, but all the stuff we joke about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if people could just take a minute and pull themselves out of this ridiculous 0% pool on social media of the gaming community that matters not at all, pull themselves back and examine it, how stupid they sound on a daily basis. It's unbelievable that they can talk about this type of stuff every day of their lives as if it's real business.
Yeah. It's weird to me. Like, sure, there's a discussion point to be had when it first happens, but it's been what, 2 years that we've seen this and
since the launch of the platforms.
It's wild to me. And like, what bothers me, this is ironic, I suppose, given that we're on a podcasting show, but you don't need to explain, justify, or announce every little thought about your purchases or every little thought about it. Like, games are $70. Yes, Last of Us has been remade and it's coming out again, but there's a reason, and and people are buying. Like, what are you doing? Like, well, I think it's wrong. Don't buy it. I think
That's
it's
it.
right.
That's literally it.
I hate when people are like, is that your defense? Yeah, capitalism. You don't like it, don't buy it.
It's literally the free market, that determines the price of a product. That's all it is. If people are willing to pay something for a product, that's what companies are going to price it. Period. There's no other discussion to be had. You can argue all day about the semantics of, is it right? Are they, taking consumers? Are their profits already high enough so that they don't have to raise prices? Whatever. Do you think Starbucks needs to charge $5 for a coffee? No. No.
Yep.
Do they? Yes, because they're making billions of dollars doing it. You can argue if you want that their coffee's $5. You're not accomplishing anything. Just don't buy their coffee.
A business can charge what people will pay.
Exactly. It's that simple. And I'm not saying that like I said, you can debate about it being right all you want and make a big deal out of it. One, you're not changing anything.
Right.
And two, it's not that big of a deal. It's not something that even necessitates this much discussion or anywhere remotely. It's strange to me.
To me, it's also like the only people that are getting crapped on are the people that are making the game.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's where like people lose the conversation is lost to me, because all I'm seeing is like one developer who is really passionate about their project being totally just thrown vile by a fan base that is bored. Like, this conversation happened because Paris Lily didn't have a topic to talk about on Gamertag Radio, and that's why it's out here. Like, real talk, I'm just gonna say it. That's how this dialogue started, and
That's
then
how
it
a lot
just
of dialogue
avalanched.
Yeah, when
And
there's a
nobody
lack
knows
of
how to
news, people find it.
how to curate that conversation. They just go for something that is really easy. And what has happened is that you see all these, I'm going to just say it, toxic folks out there that are bored, don't have enough content on their channel to justify anything. And so instead of just saying, well, maybe let's hold off, they're like, no, let's jump in on whatever we might think is SEO rich because we're seeing the bigger podcasters talk about it.
Correct. Yep.
And we're going to talk about it. But we're not going to have a meaningful conversation. And the people in those chats, some of which awesome, most of which are awesome, you're going to have those toxic few. We've been in those shows.
Sure.
We've seen them happen. We've seen those chats that are not moderated whatsoever, and they get to just throw vile and are encouraged and then do it. And that's why, to me, the conversation is like, yeah, we can have a conversation about, is The Last of Us Part 1 worth a full price, you know, of admission? And then the real answer to that is when the game comes out. So the real conversation should be, okay, so if this is a full price title, what to me would justify that full price? What is it that Naughty Dog is showing us, or yet to show us, that is worth that full price of that product? Not the $70 argument again and again. I'm tired of it, because you're right, Luke. The companies will charge what people are willing to pay. Do I want to pay $70 for games? No. But does Sony know? Does 2K know? Does Modern Warfare 2 know that they could come out with like current gen versions of these games at $70 and you're going to buy it because you want to see, Soap McTavish?
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
And they know it, and you're going to do it.
Yep.
And every time we have these conversations, people like Matt Piscatella come out and go, guys, they saw how many of you in droves bought your collectors, the digital deluxe of these games, and said, hey, let's just up the charge just by another $10 and we'll have wider profit margins. Is that morally right? No, but they know they could get away with it.
And
so
I wouldn't even argue it's morally wrong in a business sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a line. There is a line, and it's a nebulous line. It's not something that you can do quantifiably every single time and say, like, this is right, this is wrong. But the truth is, if people are willing to pay, businesses will business. Nintendo has taught us this time and again in a content creation space where people are starved for topics because maybe they're making too much content, maybe they didn't have time to do their research, maybe they just needed something to talk about and they fell into that. In that space, they might forget those lessons that have been learned time and again. And Paris is a good example of that. The mouth ran, and then the narrative ran away. And I think go ahead. Ian.
No. Sorry.
Well, I just think it's a silly thing to discuss because it's not about the price tag when we've known the price tag for a generation or since the beginning of this generation. It is what it is, and games go on sale all the time. Every major service has a discount program in effect or a subscription service in effect, and you don't need to pay that money to get the story of The Last of Us. It is available to you if that's your argument. And at the time of this,
you could be outspoken on it too, but be respectful. And if you have an audience, guide that audience of what your point is, trying to be articulate. Because I feel like that's what's the nuance of it is being lost on so many folks.
Shout out to Robert real quick. It's his first time here. I saw him in chat. It's his first time with Cast Co-op.
Hey, Rob. What's up, man?
Hey, Rob.
Thanks for swinging by, man.
Sorry about Luke.
That's what I was gonna say a minute ago with you, Luke. Is not to pick on Paris specifically, but just Paris has a big audience, right? And as content creators' audiences grow, in my opinion, anyway, there should come a responsibility, to your point, Joe, about being more articulate on how you approach things, because there are companies that listen to him, and brands and developers and publishers. And to your point, it's like this trickle down effect of, if these content creators like Paris, or anyone else for that matter, that have a big audience, start to say things like this in this tone, in this narrative, then, like you said, there's all these other smaller content creators that'll go, oh, that's working for him. Now that's what I got to talk about. And it's like, if you set the tone up here and show that you can be this big show that's more professional, more kind of eloquent in how you speak to these topics, and not dive into the fanboyish stuff, you're just going to be better off, and you're going to help the gaming community. As it is, it's almost a detriment to the gaming community when you talk about things the way you did. And then the other point I was going to make to Joe, your point about The Last of Us, is the other thing that was kind of bugging me specifically about The Last of Us is, a lot of people are just saying, oh, they've already remastered it, it's another remaster. And it's like, we don't even know what this game is yet. Correct. Yes, we know it's Last of Us 1, right? And we know they've said it's a from the ground up remake. And obviously the clips they've shown us show a stark difference. But what we've heard is that this is basically all the way up to the par of Last of Us 2 on the PlayStation 5, the updated engine, the updated combat mechanics. They could add some additional scenes that tie the two together. There could be a lot more that we don't know yet that shows the result of this extra work and effort that would more justify paying for the game again, right?
Sure.
And I just wish that people would wait until we know exactly what that is, because we don't know that. Just saying at this point in time, it's just another remaster, is being flippant, because you don't know.
Yeah. You don't know. What we've seen is leans to the contrary. And you're right. Like, we don't know the content that they're going to put in. Is this like going to be like a George Lucas type of effect, where this is like a special edition where, they put the Last of Us, Left Behind DLC in the game baked in, and that could kind of forgive maybe the lack of factions at the moment. Who knows? Or maybe some extra things and some extra scenes that bring some nuance or maybe clarity to Last of Us Part 2. Maybe. We just don't know yet. It's okay to be skeptical and question it, but we don't need to make these like weird declarative statements when we haven't seen the whole thing yet.
Yeah.
That is the thing that I am just, when we make these declarative statements, when we have these audiences, there are people that look to me for inspiration. That is a really weird thing to take into account, that someone is
you're
making
not
a show
inspiring.
Because I'm not, dude. I'm not. Like, I gave a motivational speech once, and half the people left 5 minutes in. So, like, to me, it's like you have to know that you got to bring some nuance to it, and bring some different perspectives, or just maybe a different tone to the conversation, rather than just like, again, weird declarative. It's just, it makes me sad, because I saw so many developers wanting to celebrate that their game went gold, and you just had all these fanboys just in their mentions being toxic. And it goes back to like our good friend Sean Capri, of like, well, y'all complained about Nintendo Directs not being great. Y'all complained about State of Plays not being great. Y'all complained about whatever Xbox does not
Inside
being great.
Xbox.
And now look, they don't even want to do it anymore.
Right.
And ACG was commenting that some companies are simply moving away from Twitter communications.
He said he knows of 3 that are moving away, like not indie companies, right? We're talking about bigger companies.
And there's some that could do well to move away. Others
sure
not. And that's not meant to be a slight. Look at EA from 2 weeks ago or so, when they were like, she's a 10, but she'd only play single player games.
Remember when I said, as soon as they tweeted that, I was like, this isn't going to go well.
Yeah, that poor intern that thought they had gold, because they were trying to say, hey, you want to play with your significant other.
Yeah.
But when you don't have the context or somehow, some way, and then the deserved roasts arrived, that is one thing. The counterpoint, or I suppose not the counterpoint, but like the other side of that coin would be like these poor Santa Monica devs that are making God of War's sequel, and people are sending them dick pics and death threats because the date's not this or that, or because it's on sometime. And that's, I think it's important when sometimes you are too close to the audience. I think it was Steve Jobs that said sometimes the audience doesn't know what they want, or that's a paraphrased version. But our conversation is not about, just to be clear to anyone that's listening, like, it's not about this $70 game. It's about the meta that comes with communicating with an audience.
Yeah.
That's what tends to happen. And in the gaming communities are quick to react, slow to forgive. No, quick to react, quick to forgive, but slow to forget. Right? Because we'll all go buy that Last of Us or God of War or next buy, whatever it is. We'll go buy it immediately, and then we'll go after it. How many people are hostile about Halo Infinite, but they play Halo Infinite, right? How many Destiny fans hate Destiny and play every day?
Yep.
Right? You know what I mean? Exactly. And so I think commenting on the meta, I think, is important. And the last point that I would like to make on it is if you have an audience, big or small, 3 people, 300 people, 3,000, 30,000, from the XEP size all the way up to Paris Lily or anyone else, it is important that the creator does what they can to curate that conversation, to moderate that chat room, to clarify statements if something's been misunderstood, and to make points about stopping people in those chats or communities to do so. If I had a Discord, I would cite that, but it's important to do that, because when you have those audiences of 30 or 300 or whatever, and you have that one or two usernames down there that are just spewing negativity or skewing what you're saying, that can take a narrative, and you don't want that to happen, And I don't know if that's what happened to Paris in the bigger context.
I think that's what happened.
Curation is important. That was the meta that I wanted to comment on.
And I've been on my soapbox about that countless times, so I won't say too much, but it's something that I really, really focus on for Season Gaming. And anytime we hit a growth marker, right, whether it be the site, the big cast, whatever, new people in our Discord, right, that show up and start chatting with us, there's always an examination from my point of view of who is this person, not who is this person, but how does this person talk about the gaming community, right, and speak about the games, the 11 platforms. And even if you come into the Season Gaming community and you are a specific platform person, that's fine. We joke with you guys, right? Luke, you have an Xbox show. Joe, you have a PlayStation show, but we talk about the gaming kind of all platforms, as I believe we should, right? That's why we do this show and others. But a recent example, I'll curate this a little better, is we had our anniversary show over at on Bigcast, and we simulcasted between Hoag's channel and Season Gaming's channel, and we broke 500 concurrent viewers, which for Bigcast is astronomical, right? I mean, that's ridiculous. There was no commentary in that chat room that was toxic, and we had over 500 people watching concurrently. And that is demonstrative, of the audience that you curate for your outlet or your podcast or your channel or whatever you run in the gaming community. And I think that if you run a show or podcast, everything we just said, if you run something as a content creator, and every time you do that or show up to speak live or comments or feedback, and you see a bunch of toxic comments, right? You should be a little introspective with yourself and say, what am I putting out there to draw this audience, right?
Agree.
It shouldn't just be about numbers, right? Have a little have a little integrity and say, if 80% of my audience is here spewing hate and nonsense and conspiracy theories within the gaming community or nonsense rumors, think about what you're putting out there, because it's obviously not beneficial.
Yeah,
agree.
That's why I take so much pride in what we do, because we have very little mod support, because everybody gets it and everybody's nice to each other and everybody's kind. And to me, it is about curating the audience. There are people that, when we say we're inclusive to all, we truly mean it. Whether your ideology is different from mine, orientation's different than mine, whatever have you, you're welcomed here, as long as you come in with that open mind to different ideas. And we'll get 1-star reviews from people saying I didn't like it because you got political. It's well, no, I just was a decent human being. And that's and those reviews make me so proud, because I know that person's not there anymore. And the things that make me really happy is when I see people that are, I just had an amazing conversation with Jadis von Metal, him just thanking me for creating such an amazing and welcoming community. And that's what we're trying to do. It's about building smart. It's about building something slow. You know, it's not even slow, just building it smart. I see a lot of people that are afraid to take stands because they're like, oh, I want to kick that person out of the chat, but
I don't want to offend them,
or it's one less viewer. That's the one that scares me. It's one less viewer.
And that's sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Joe, but it is building smart because you're building the community that is going to support you through thick and thin because they know what you truly stand for, right? Yeah. When you build cheap and you just kind of say inflammatory things, right? Those people will come and go like that because as soon as you say something that they don't agree with, they're gonna be like, nah, I don't care about that person anymore. Yeah. Whereas if you build it properly, like you're talking about, and we're obviously all trying to do and have done to varying degrees, you have those people that know, okay, here's what Ains and Joe and Luke stand for, and here's what their shows stand for, and I know on a week in, week out basis, that's what I can expect from that community. And when they know that, it builds kind of a brand association, but also what's the word I'm looking for? Where you're brand loyalty.
Yeah. That's what you mean. Yep.
By the way, Sinu.com says we just need to respect the art. 100%. Building games is as all developers tell us constantly, it's a incredibly complicated task. And we literally build our content and a portion of our lives around this content, both for content creation, but also enjoyment, right? We all play games on a daily basis for fun. Like, for God's sakes, respect the people making them. I'm just going to permanently pin this one, Ains for Prez. Thanks, Ben.
You don't want that job.
Let's be clear.
I don't want that job. No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right.
Jimmy, I'll fix all of our problems in a week.
By the way,
go ahead.
I'm sorry to keep going. I wanted to comment on this because it's a fair question. Mo says, but why $70? What's the real reason? Because it's not for the devs. And I think that is a fair point, but a separate discussion, right? Because you're right. We know that there's a lot of developers out there, contractors not getting paid enough, developers that are used and abused in the industry. There's a lot of kind of bad things that happen. And that's a larger proponent of a free market and capitalistic society of itself. But that's not the consumer's responsibility to fix, right? That is the responsibility. Like, if me saying that means if we suddenly say we're not going to pay $70, so your profits are going to take, the devs aren't going to suddenly be better off. They're going to be worse off because the people at the top are still going to keep the same profits, right? They're going to take it out on the lower workers. So point being is that's on the responsibility of the workers to demand unions, to find better roles, do all the things that we've talked about a lot of times. But
that's happening right now.
It's happening all over the place, which is great. And we can be vocal. People like us can be vocal in supporting that and running articles about it and talking about it. And we should absolutely be doing that. But make no mistake that us just paying $70 is not kind of supporting the devs. That's a misnomer that gets thrown around a lot out there. We need to do other things to support the developers.
Like, to me, the one thing that I've seen, like, for example, the Last of Us remake, right? A lot of developers going, hey, I didn't have to crunch on this. They seem like they're actually taking notes and listening, seeing, and again, because I'm focused on the PlayStation side, this is what I see. It's definitely happened on the Microsoft side for a fact, but like, you're seeing teams go, hey, we're hiring in office and out of office, right? We're available in 47 states, 37 states, all 50 states, and Canada. Like, you're seeing people working how and where they want to work. You're seeing people take stands against multi-billion-dollar corporations and saying, no, we deserve to be treated better and paid better, and we will not work and we will not be silenced until we are, and form a union to then actually collective bargain. So you're right, Ains. It's not on us to say, well, if I don't give you this money, you lose a job, or if I do give you this money, you need to get paid more. It's that is on the responsibility of, or that is the conversation between the worker and the employment. And if you don't feel valued, you go somewhere else. And right now, not just everywhere, but especially in games, there are a ton of developers right now, a ton of talent that are looking actively everywhere for the best place for them. And companies know that. There is such a need for workers right now that they are willing to do what, not 100%, but they're willing to do what they can to make sure that they get the most and the best top talent.
And it's a growing market, right? These workers are existing in you're a sought after talent in a growing market. There's no better place to be. I've been on both sides of the coin in my career. Believe me, you don't want to be disposable, and you make a very good career if you make yourself indisposable. So that's a key point. Also, sorry, Luke. Oh, I was just going to put this up. Sorry. I just wanted to call out Jupiter to say thank you, Jupiter. That's a nice comment. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
That was very nice. Thank you. I was wondering if you could put Mo's comment up. We're asking about devs.
This one?
Yes, that one. He says, don't devs want more people playing through, or do they want to sell a certain number? And this is a really interesting question because Game Pass and subscription models have altered this a bit. And we saw a lot, particularly in the early years of Game Pass and from time to time now. Again, we talk about responsibility of content creators. That like Game Pass is good for devs, Game Pass is bad for devs. And it's like, well, we don't have numbers, we don't have evidence. I think it's a case by case piece on this one, Mo. I don't think you can blindly say they want a sell through number or they want people playing an engagement number, because games are monetized so differently and the payouts for different levels are different. To Joe's point about a few moments ago about unionization, and I would argue maybe not even specifically unionization, but the spotlight that is being put onto the working conditions and the deals that are in place. My thought is that people playing your game is the first part. Like, you need people to play your game. That's why you see the free-to-play model exist as it does. That's why you see certain games asking to be on places like Game Pass or the new PlayStation tiers and such. But it is not a definitive, it is this, it is that. Those are case dependent. But what's telling in all of that is that every major player in entertainment, not just games, but like not just Sony, not just Microsoft, but like Netflix, but Amazon, they are desperate to bring people in to create entertainment content for their service, for their place. And that is an element of this. It's not on Undead Labs to worry about how many copies of State of Decay 3 it sells. The onus is on them to engage and make their game for their people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Microsoft will handle the big picture. At least I think that's telling in some ways.
Yeah.
Did any of that make sense?
Yeah. Made perfect sense, because there's it's such a big market nowadays. There's vastly different scenarios for a game, right? You can have that indie developer that launches in early access on Steam, and to them, they can only continue to make the game they want to make if it sells enough, because they got to make the money to continue development and continue living, right? Then you have to your latter point, Luke, we've heard from the developers directly and the head of studios at like In Exile, like Brian Fargo and others under Xbox Game Studios now, where they just have the freedom to make what they want to make because of, few companies have the funding Microsoft does, right? So Xbox has invested hundreds of millions, probably billions of dollars, if you look, obviously, including the acquisitions, of saying, all we want you to do is we're going to drive our new mechanism to get games out, which is Game Pass. And that's engagement, right? If you have so many million players playing your game, then you've created a great game for us because we can sell the service. And that's on the publisher, because Xbox is the publisher at that point, not the developer, right? So it's definitely a mix of both. And I think you kind of nailed that well, Luke.
Mo is also asking about that $10 extra and if that's going to turn some people away. $10 does not mean the same thing to every person. We often talk like the American market is the only market, but you can look at current inflation rates in the United States, which are on the rise. They're over 9% at this point. $10 matters a lot to some and not to others. Sure, I'm sure that difference turns some away, but I think if you want a game, you'll find a way to get the game within some boundaries. If we're talking like 120, that might be a little different, but within an area, a margin of error, I think if you want it, you're going to get it. Like I would pay $100 for Gotham Knights because that's a game. But that's what I would do. I'm not going to pay $100 for Biomutant Series X or whatever.
Oh, I'm in, baby. They got a CE for that or what? What are we doing?
I'm sure they do. But it's a matter of what $10 means to you, what the product means to you, and companies are monitoring that regularly.
That's what I was going to say, Luke, is again, that it's sadly, and I don't say this snarkily, Mo, not at all, but that's not for us to decide. The companies, the publishers, right? They have teams of analysts who have run these numbers 80 million different ways, believe me, because I work with some of them for a major company, and they know what they're going to sell at $70, what they're going to sell at $60, and which one will make them more money. And clearly the market is telling them that $70 is going to make them more money. So it's probably a case of you may sell 5% less, but you're selling at a 15% more price, right? A higher price. So your ROI is higher. It is literally that simple.
Yeah. And as someone who's literally been in those conversations, like been in the room of like, so what do you think you're going to price your game? What do you think the game's going to rate at? Been in those rooms. And it really just comes down to what they think people will come and pay that price. So yeah, I know that there are people who are like, yeah, so listen, our game's $15. It's not lighting the world on fire, but we're passionate about it. We love it. We think $15 at start is going to do great. We're going to be talking about a Steam sale at 20%. So we get on the first page. Like those are how the conversations happen. Mm-hmm. And so when it comes to like, well, aren't they going to lose customers? It is a fair point because you probably are. But like, take a look at Horizon Forbidden West. That game consistently gets on the top charts every time there's a PlayStation 5 refresh. Right. So like people are still buying it because PlayStation knows that you're gonna play, chances are, Horizon Forbidden West. Modern Warfare 2. That is a $70 game when we get to play it. They know they get to charge you $70 because again, you want to play as Soap McTavish. They know that the audience will be like, all right, whatever. And buy it because they have been. And that's really just the way of the beast. You may not love it. I don't love it, but that's just kind of the nature of the thing. So those conversations happen, and those analysts again, count the beans and they go, "That's and we can take that risk because it's a safe one."
And it ties back into our conversation around the social space that we live in daily, right? With these conversations, don't matter. They're right. We've said this so many times, but they are drop in the bucket to what the actual sales of these games are, right? So when Modern Warfare 2 this fall sells 20 million copies, which it will, or more, 20 million copies, a handful of those people are on Twitter yelling about the $70 price. The other 19.9 million are just in your GameStops, in your stores in game in the UK and all over the world, on the PlayStation Store and Xbox Store and Steam, just clicking the button to buy. That's all they're doing. They're not involved in this conversation. They look at the price of the game. They say Modern Warfare 2, I've got to own that. My friends are playing it. I'm nostalgic about Modern Warfare 2. Whatever the reason is, they want to play it. Again, the price is set. It's $70. That's your point of entry, at least at launch, right? And if you want to play it at launch, you're going to. And believe me, they're going to pay it. And Activision, I couldn't think of the publisher. Activision knows that, right? So
I agree.
Here's what it is. Look at us having a formed conversation about
So for everyone watching right now, we're nearly 40 minutes into this show, and we joked prior to the show that we were going to talk about $70 games for about 10 seconds.
Yeah, it is.
So, but because we're live, this is the nice thing about being live, right?
Yep.
Mo and others are asking meaningful questions, and we can have a real-time discussion about a topic, which is cool.
And I would argue that the conversation wasn't so much $70 games the majority of the time, so much as the meta of how to handle interaction with the audience.
True. Absolutely.
True.
Absolutely.
True. I would contend with that. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I told Sainu I would mention this. He said, and this is an interesting one. So my other point is I just don't like conflating PlayStation Studios with EA, Ubisoft, or heck, even CD Projekt. It's just wrong. So that's obviously a very stern take, Sainu. But what I would say is that comes down to personal preference, right? If you're the person who loves your Ghost, your Horizon, your God of War, your whatever PlayStation first party is giving you, and you love that, absolutely, you're obviously going to be more willing to pay a premium for that experience versus something like you might get it out of EA. Whereas someone else, I don't know who, but they may prefer an EA experience or a Ubisoft experience, Assassin's Creed, what have you. So that comes down to more personal experience. But again, I think that at the end of the day, if you want to talk about the product offering of a game coming out of one studio versus the other, or one publisher versus the other, I think over time, there's an old phrase that cream rises to the top. Yes, I'm old. We know this.
Cream.
it does.
I'm sorry.
We had to get back to Casco up for a second there. But I think that proves true, right? Because if you look at the games that truly are the pinnacle of their genre, be it Witcher 3, be it Last of Us, be it, whatever other game we want to talk about right now, if you look at how those games sell over time, they continue to make money for the devs and publishers, right? So that cream rises over time. Horizon Zero Dawn, another good example. God of War 2018, good example. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So.
Well, gentlemen, let's transition topics if you don't mind. I have a small exercise for you that'll take about 20 seconds. Do you guys have a pen and paper around you?
I can pull up a notepad on my computer.
That'll work.
Look, this is a podcast. This is an audio format. First.
Anybody in the chat is welcome to do this as well. Gentlemen, while I vamp for time, if you would...
Vamp? Hey! Go ahead.
Damn it. If you would, write down as many Sony studios as you can get off the top of your head without looking them up. As many Sony studios.
If Joe doesn't win this, he should be ashamed.
Okay.
All right, I'm on it. Hold on.
Take about 15 seconds, and I will recap for anybody that is listening. It's been a while since we've done Cast Co-op, but we've seen a lot of good news happen. And kind of a meta negative topic that we have, but we've seen a lot of good stuff happen. We got God of War's release date. We found out Skull and Bones is real. PlayStation's doing NFTs. No, I'm just kidding. They're not. They're doing a reward program, which is cool. Haven Studios was acquired by PlayStation. You can have that one for free, boys. E3 is back. There's been a lot of cool things happening kind of in smaller increments, adding up that I think has been pretty neat. Gentlemen, off the top of your head, how many studios did you get in the time that I vamped?
Right now, I'm at 10.
Dang. Okay, Joe?
I'm a real slow writer. So I got 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8. I don't know if we were supposed to do a whatever, but
it's fun.
I was just thinking of whatever I could think of.
That is absolutely fine. I threw together just a couple that I had, and I thought major players. And in my major players, I had Bend, Naughty Dog, Gorilla, Insomniac, and
I forgot Naughty Dog.
Did you forget Naughty Dog?
Did you really?
Well, you were under the gun,
Yeah.
It was you were under the gun,
So you said Ben, Naughty Dog, who?
Ben, Naughty Dog, Gorilla, Insomniac, and Santa Monica.
I forgot Gorilla too. Good lord. Sony Santa Monica, Bend, Fire Sprite, Nexus. Sony. It's not Sony Japan Studio anymore, but they got merged with someone else.
Fire Sprite, Nexus.
Do you mean Team Asobi?
Thank you.
What are we calling that?
Pixel Opus, right?
The hell's Pixel Opus?
That's their small indie team. They made Concrete Genie.
They made Concrete Genie.
Okay, got it.
And Haven, you said as well. Yeah. So those are the ones I had. Yep.
Okay. Joe, what are we
Gorilla
missed?
and Naughty Dog. Good lord.
Yeah. I'm still writing. I'm I don't need, I'm still writing. Yeah. So I got off the top of my dome, Naughty Dog, Sucker Punch, Santa Monica, Bend, Blue Point, Haven, Pixel Opus, Insomniac. Yeah, baby. San Diego Studio, Gorilla, Fire Sprite, Asobi, Malaysia Studio, which we don't know what they're up to.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I got right now.
In my quick list, I had forgotten Sucker Punch entirely.
Yeah, Sucker Punch. I had them on my list. I forgot to mention it.
The interesting thing that I'm coming down to on this one, boys, is which is the best of these. We started an internal conversation of debating which of the Sony studios is the best, which one makes the best stuff. Recognizing, of course, that they don't all try to make the same thing. They're not all going for the same level, but which one does the best work? Which is the best? And this came from a discussion that we were having about PlayStation releases this year, specifically, debating the merits of the $70 Naughty Dog thing versus Santa Monica. And then you could look at Gran Turismo. So from your list, if you wouldn't mind, rank them in your top 5.
I literally just deleted my entire list.
Oh my! Like my top 5. Oh, what a great
top 5.
What? Okay.
Let me start my list again. By the way, while we're doing this, the Fickle Gamer came in. Beautiful comment here. He said, "Hey guys, big fan of your content. Currently playing some Halo Infinite MP. Hey-oh. While listening, it's so refreshing to hear honest and positive takes about the gaming industry rather than arguing. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
That's really nice to say. Really cool to say.
Brother or sister. You said Fickle Gamer. I don't know what you are. Whoever you are. You're
but
awesome.
cheers to you, Fickle, and I hope you're having fun with Halo Infinite. We all play Halo Infinite, but we're on Joe and I have been on a hiatus for like about 2-3 weeks, I think. Because we were in real hard for a good bit. Hey. Yeah, we've been on a Sea of Thieves kick lately.
Yeah, we've been doing, for the most part, really well.
Yeah, we really have.
I'm going to have to wing this one, boys. I deleted my whole list. So
you're good. Just pick your 5 favorites and rank them and don't mess it up.
Oh, you're very important. Oh, okay.
Whatever. I shouldn't say favorites. The best.
There's nuance to that, though, of course, which we'll touch on.
That's the point of the podcast. So I will go first because I've had time on this one. Okay, I've had time on this one. To me, the absolute best Sony studio is Santa Monica, followed very closely by Insomniac. And then I would rank Sucker Punch, then Guerrilla, and then Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog would be my 5th, which I think is
the bold take.
That's the interesting part because I don't like the most of Naughty Dog's games, which is scary to say to the internet. I will.
Well, hold on. You said do best, not favorite.
Correct. Yeah, I should rephrase. I don't think they're as nearly as clout deserving as they are often given. I think you see far more impressive feats done by the other studios than you do Naughty Dog. I think for Naughty Dog, it is a matter of well, hold on. Let me save my thought on that one. I don't want to go too far just yet. But I do not think they are anywhere near the top 3.
I think you're crazy.
Wait, you said Naughty Dog?
So my top 3 are Santa Monica, Insomniac, and Sucker Punch. Those were my top 3. I would not put Naughty Dog in my top 3 of Sony studios. Oof. Now, please recognize to anyone that is joining us, we are not knocking those studios. This is meant to be a fun, debate. Like, I just want to be very clear. Like, as I say, they're not my top 3. Naughty Dog's incredible.
I play video games. I don't watch movies.
Actually.
Oh man.
So who wants to go next? Tell me your top 3.
So I'll go next, Joe, only because I know you will have probably the most insight, I would say, of these. Because you guys talk about this all the time, obviously. Yep. I have Naughty Dog as number 1. And that is with a big distaste for Last of Us 2. That game insulted me. I don't appreciate it. And I'm still going to pull Neil Druckmann aside when I see him and just have a chat with him. Not violent, not threatening. Just want to talk. Mm-hmm. No, I think Naughty Dog, if you look, even if you don't care for the direction of their games, like I don't Last of Us 2, right? If you look at the sheer quality of what they produce, it's almost unmatched. Like if you were to say the top 5 studios in the gaming industry, I think Naughty Dog's on that list. That's just my opinion.
Over the others. So that's your number. Like, so you're saying that over Santa Monica, over Sucker Punch.
Yeah, I think Naughty Dog's number 1. Yeah. I do. I would say Insomniac's number 2 with a caveat a little bit, only because the thing I like about Insomniac is whatever they've put out has been just quality, right? And we know that Spider-Man was its own thing. I'm not even a Spider-Man fan. I don't even care for the game, but it's a quality game, right? Miles built on that. We know Ratchet and Clank was quality, and I think nearly everyone has full confidence that Wolverine's going to be awesome. So Insomniac's great. Number 3, I have Blue Point. And the reason I have Blue Point there is because the same comment of Insomniac. They have done no wrong. And in fact, I would argue that Blue Point has done something, especially with Demon Souls, that I don't see another remake anywhere in the gaming industry that's as good as Demon Souls. And I'll say that from the rooftops.
Is Demon Souls a remake or a remaster?
Remake.
It was a remake. Okay.
Now, people call it a remaster because it has the same kind of mechanics and they didn't change any of the levels per se, but you can't do that in a From game if you know what you're talking about. So I still call it a remake because so many things were updated. But thank you, Joe. But Blue Point, just whatever they touch is gold, right? So Sony Santa Monica I have is 4th. Because God of War is so good, it feels like they should be higher, right? But I'm reflecting on the fact that in the modern PlayStation age, they've given us God of War 2018, and we have Ragnarok coming this fall, which we all presume will be incredible, but we don't know. But it's going to be incredible, right? We know, but still, it's kind of this is going to sound negative. I don't mean it that way. It's a one-trick pony right now. They make one game, all right? And there's nothing wrong with that because the game's incredible, but they make one game. Whereas I think if you look at Naughty Dog, you look at Insomniac, you look at what Blue Point does, they have talent across multiple genres, across multiple games. And then 5th, I have Guerrilla, only because Guerrilla took a step back from what they had built for like a decade. They created something brand new in Horizon, and it's become literally one of PlayStation's best IPs in a family that has great IPs. And I think Forbidden West, even though I haven't been able to get into it personally, I think it speaks for itself as quality there. New engine, open world RPG. Going from a first-person shooter to an open world RPG, not easy to do, and they nailed it.
So question before we go to Joe then. Does it not factor in for you that both their Horizon games were essentially had their thunder stolen? They weren't able to overcome the mindset of two different games, like Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild, but ate both of Horizon's lunch.
If I'm the president of Guerrilla, I'm like, what the hell's going on around here? Like, this is not fair. No, I agree with you. And I think if you look over the past 5 years since Horizon, the first one released, Zero Dawn, remember I was just saying 10 minutes ago about Cream rises to the top, right? Horizon Zero Dawn has continued to sell and have an audience for 5 years. And Forbidden West has already shown that it's succeeding at a very high level too. And when they release it on PC, it will sell well again. So I'm pretty confident that despite Thunder Stolen, they're still ranking up there. By the way, not to keep going too long, a couple of people just put in the chat, how the hell did we forget that PlayStation owns Bungie now?
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Because Bungie makes a niche game. Like, Destiny's super popular, but it's its own community now. You know what I mean? It lives on its own. It's like
we literally talked about it this week on the trophy room. It's like these. There are like games like like Minecraft. We forget that it exists. So like when we talk about like the Xbox side of things, it's like we should kind of bring them up because they're so huge, but like they're not in the mind's eye of us hardcore gamers. So like they're just their own thing.
I still don't think of Minecraft as an Xbox thing. I don't even think about it as an Xbox thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so like it still seems weird. Bungie owned by Sony.
Yeah,
still
it does feel weird. A couple comments before you go, Joe, real quick.
Sure.
So Gogo points out none of these studios do online at all. And that's true. And that's where PlayStation is changing, right? They're driving towards this conversation could be very different 3 to 4 years from now.
Will be,
so we'll see what that looks like. Eric, what's up, Eric? He says Naughty Dog's my number one in all of video games, which is what I was just alluding to. And then there was one other. Miasma said Elden Ring ran circles around Horizon. Yes, it did. That's facts are facts. Anyway, and then we have a bunch of people who gave their rankings as well, Luke, which you can touch on if you want to.
No, I've been reading them. I think it's impressive and neat and cool to watch.
Yeah, everyone has a different thought, which is cool. So, Joe, where are you at, man?
So okay, let's.
A lot to unpack here, Joe.
There's a lot to unpack.
For me,
I can't believe I haven't. I think people use that phrase more than I do now. I've slacked.
Yeah, I have been actually using it way more. Let me just one sec. That's the water. That was water.
RTX nixed that sound.
Oh, really? Did it?
Yeah, we didn't hear
wow. Technology. So let's go with the number one. When I'm thinking, first off, personal preference. This is just the games I've played.
No, this is the definitive list.
Wait, I thought we said best. You guys are confusing me again.
Insomniac.
Insomniac's the best.
The best. I said it in our private chat, and I'll say it here out loud. You come to PlayStation because of Naughty Dog. You stay because Insomniac, Santa Monica. You like those are the reasons why you stay. To me, Insomniac, their output in the last few years is insane, and even just their output in general. When you take a look at all the games that they've made, is over the past. It's like they never skip a year. It's nuts. So for me, when I think of Insomniac, I think of my middle school years with Ratchet and Clank, and how much I loved Up Your Arsenal. It's one of my favorite PS2 games. It is my favorite PS2 game. When I think of the Xbox, I actually think of Sunset Overdrive. I really love Sunset Overdrive. And then when I think about them in their PlayStation 4 years, I am thinking of Ratchet and Clank again. God dang, that was a good, would we call it a remake? Who knows? Reimagining.
So good. I love that game.
I think about Spider-Man. That is my favorite superhero game of all time. And when I think of like Insomniac making off the gate one of the most impressive superhero games that I have played, and it being my favorite, just speaks volumes to their talent. You know, I loved what they've done with the latest Ratchet and Clank, Miles Morales. So for me, I just think in pure quality, pure fun, to me, it's Insomniac has hit more times than not.
We should note they reinvigorated Spider-Man games that had become stagnant, and they changed Spider-Man's suit drastically, and it was accepted by fans because of the game. And that is, to me, very telling because, Ains, if you know nothing, you know that comic book nerds are very picky.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
We're almost as toxic as the Star Wars fandom.
So where did you have
Richard,
Insomniac, Luke?
Insomniac was my number 2.
It was
my
mine
number
too as
2.
well. So I think overall between the three of us, Insomniac has the highest ranking.
Yeah.
That's right.
And
it was number
shout out to Song of the Deep. Do you guys remember that game? Little
yes,
Metroid game.
I
Yes.
100%ed it.
Yeah, good game.
Yes.
Bad achievements. Good game.
Was that why'd
yeah.
you bring that up?
Trophies? That was Insomniac.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm looking
it
at
was
their
like a little
portfolio
mini
right
team.
now. Yep.
Yeah.
There's a little team within a team. Yeah, when they tried to go more independent, they, I think they found it a bit more constricting, especially with like deals with EA.
Mhm.
That really bogged down some creative ideas that they had, which is why they went.
That's
home
why I
with
love teams
PlayStation.
like, not to get us off track, but that's why I love developers like Insomniac, and not just them, but others getting bought or acquired by a studio like PlayStation or Xbox, right? Because
Yeah.
you're giving a talented team the freedom and the funding to just make even better stuff for us. Yes, it'll be exclusive on the console front. That's why you play all consoles.
Mhm.
Yeah. If you can.
If you can, of course.
Joe, what about Gorilla for you? Where did Gorilla kind of mark in for you at all?
4.
4?
Okay.
They're
I have-
they're really. Here's the thing. I'm thinking of the lineage. I'm not thinking about their last hit. I'm thinking of lineage. So I really like Killzone. I think Killzone 1 was actually a shooter I really
a
enjoyed.
Halo killer.
The Halo killer. And I remember playing a lot of local multiplayer with my friends in the basement. So like that I have a lot of good memories for. But like after that, Killzone just felt like it tried to be the Halo killer. It never really
They literally
was.
said it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a quote. So
And some of like the story beats that they're like literal space Nazis is like kind of beating you over the head.
That's very political.
So-
You know I don't like politics in my games.
Ooh, I'm so sorry. Ooh, I know. It's so rough for you. Translucent man. I apologize. So yeah, like I think they really, when they stepped into Horizon's one of my favorite games of all time. It's the reason why Trophy Room exists, all that stuff. That's the Gorilla I truly know, is the Horizon Gorilla. So that's why to me Gorilla is up there, because where they are right now is they're doing great work. You could say it's like an Ubisoft like type game, blah blah blah. You can water it down where you like, whatever. They're in a great position, and their universe that they've built is truly remarkable. I can't wait to see what other studios and people have in plan or in store for Guerrilla. So that's where they land for me.
I feel like we're screwing you up of doing your top 5, so I apologize, Joe. But I would
dare you.
assume then if Insomniac's 1 and Guerrilla's 4, my assumption is you're going to say Naughty Dog is 2.
Nope.
Okay, who's 2 then?
Sucker Punch.
I have to
Do
think
not
about.
put Sucker Punch in 2.
You better. They're better than most of anything.
I have to think about lineage. So, fun fact, guys. When I was a kid, I was not allowed to play God
like
of
this
War.
until you say it.
Yeah, what's the studio?
I'm saying I'm building it up to it.
I can't say like this long. I'm old and my neck hurts.
I wasn't allowed to play God of War as a kid, and so I went back to God of War on PlayStation Now, which is not the best place if you want to lose half your goddamn game when you're playing it in your save files. Damn it! But I was so impressed by how well those games actually have aged. Not like, the orgy games or whatever, but like the gameplay itself.
Very good action.
Pretty damn sound. So to me, when I think of what is the track record of these studios, what's a bad Santa Monica game? God of War Ascension? Popular belief is like to me.
Even then, it's not bad.
Exactly. Even then,
good.
it's not.
Just not great.
Yeah, it's just good. And if you have a just good game, that's a great problem to have. Mm-hmm. So then for them to go, hey, this franchise that we're known and beloved for, we're going to take that formula that you love. We're going to change it dramatically and tell you a story that is totally different than what you're expecting from a God of War. And it's going to turn out to be a critical masterpiece. Right. Or darling. So to me, Santa Monica's number 2. They're just incredible. I can't wait to see what things they also do outside of God of War.
Me too.
For me, the next one on the list is Naughty Dog. Okay. I loved Jack 2. I loved Jack 3 because that was remember when that was like their Grand Theft Auto clone?
Yeah, I miss Jack and Dexter, man. They're a great series.
So good. They
I only
need to
played
go back to it.
The PSP version of Daxter 100 times. I love that game.
I don't think I played that one actually.
Yeah. So Jack is great. I was never a big Crash fan, but give respect where,
Sure.
Yeah. And then to say, hey, listen, we're going to take these platformers, these goofy stories, these goofy characters, and we're going to try to tell something grounded or more grounded with Uncharted. Or not grounded, but we're going to tell you an Indiana Jones story in modern day. And then also sneak those mechanics that you love from your Jack and your Crash Bandicoot and evolve them in this franchise and have it be beloved is something that we have to applaud. And then saying, hey, listen, this is a cool Indiana Jones story. Great. Let's give you a zombie story that you haven't seen a video game or tackle.
Yep.
With The Last of Us. I think, and I say this with because I love The Last of Us. I think Last of Us really changed the way that we view certain games have, like BioShock. Oh my God, there's one first-person shooter that I have not played, but I always hear. I think it's like Insurgency, something like that. No, Spec Ops: The Line. And Last of Us truly for me impacted me or impacted so many folks of how they tackle storytelling in video games.
Yes.
And I think the industry took notes of we can actually tell some really hard hitting stories in video games, and they could be more than what we thought they could be. So that's how I view The Last of Us.
So it's funny because you're literally going through Naughty Dog's history, which is Jack and Daxter, right? Then we talk about creating the Indiana Jones of video games and Uncharted becoming this massive IP.
Didn't create the Indiana Jones of video games. Tomb Raider did that.
Oh, that's fair. Okay.
Reinventing.
But I would say
that's a better way to say it. Yeah,
I think that's fair. I would say Nathan Drake is more of the Indiana Jones character than Lara Croft is. But anyway, then they create Last of Us. To your point, of a game that there's personal bias here. I'll get that out of the way right away. but it's one of my favorite games of all time. I've done a 14-minute video on how important that game is to the gaming industry. The Last of Us, the first one. And then whether it doesn't matter where you fall on it, even if you're like me who didn't enjoy the storytelling in it, Last of Us 2 is the most awarded game of all time. It actually passed The Witcher 3 in terms of just outright game awards, right? So I only say all that to say it's kind of funny that we can talk about all that, Joe, and you're pointing all that out while having Naughty Dog third.
Yeah.
It's just funny.
That's where I'd like to step in.
One of my favorite games of all time. And let me also preface this too. Naughty Dog is what got me into PlayStation. Uncharted 2 is the thing that made me go.
How good is that damn game, man? Good Lord. It's so good.
So good. Luke's going to have an opinion in a second. We're going to laugh him out of the room. But like those games are the reason why I got into PlayStation. Insomniac, Santa Monica, Sucker Punch are the reason why I stay.
Yep. I agree. I agree with that logic. I do think that is a sound thing. People show up to PlayStation for a game, for the Naughty Dog-esque, and then they realize how inviting some of those other games are. My biggest problem with Naughty Dog and why I cannot in any way, shape, or form put it in anywhere close to my top 3, boys, their games are not fun driven. And I mean this, stick with me, because I played through several of the Uncharted. I bailed on 3 about I bailed on 3 about halfway through, but it just doesn't click at the time, right?
We'll put a link in chat. It's just going to be me and Joe. Just jump over there with us.
The Last of Us, and specifically The Last of Us 2, they're not fun. They are well written, they are beautiful, they're well animated, they are impressive, but they're not fun. You don't play it and feel. Let me finish the point.
Yeah, of course.
So the spirit of my statement's not gone.
Yep.
You play Uncharted and you get beautiful worlds. You get to do these extraordinary things and feel good about what you're doing. I mean, you're mowing down a couple hundred people, and they always kind of ignore that part about Drake. But like, you play an Insomniac game, and you're suddenly you're Spider-Man. Suddenly you're doing amazing things. You're a samurai. You're doing these. You're saving stuff. In The Last of Us, specifically 2, but in both. It's horrific from start to finish. The world doesn't get better because of you. Neil Druckmann and his dad issues are screaming at you the entire time. And
we don't need to dissect his mental state here. Leave him alone.
He had a great father. Great father figure.
Specifically in 2, desperate for an editor. And because the games were not fun,
that's fair.
I have a hard time putting it up there. I can take nothing away from the likely deserved awards for like sound design, character animation, all of the things that make a game brilliant, like technologically, right? But there was very little fun, and that is the part that I cannot award. I see. I mean, I'm reading some of the comments as they come in.
This one is especially great because it's a deep cut that most people won't get. So Eric says, how can you play the train level in Uncharted 4 and say this is not fun? Luke is off his joy. And if you don't get that, what he's referring to is a little game called We Happy Few, where everyone took a drug called joy to make them always happy. So he's just joking around. Luke is off his joy, which I found hilarious. Sorry.
Uncharted 4 has some pretty fun moments, right? For sure. But I'm talking more specifically about The Last of Us. It stopped being fun. And that's the bigger thing. Get some figures. I don't even know what that means.
So we'll get to that. We'll get to super chats in a second here. So Luke, I was kind of smiling while you were talking because I know we've joked offline about this, and not in a negative way. We joke with each other all the time. But I think what you're speaking to, right, is very, very clear, the personal preference in games. That we've talked about this at length, right? You really, really enjoy superhero games. Games that are kind of action filled, and you just go around and have fun.
Escapism, yeah.
Which
I really want to escape the realness. Yes,
that's awesome, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's obviously a massive audience for that. You look no further than Fortnite and Sea of Thieves and everything we've talked about.
Sure.
And I think that's also representative in your personality because we talk offline a lot about like the movies and the shows you like, right? Which are very similar.
Yeah.
Someone like me who's dark, depressed, and has terrible thoughts on a daily basis.
So do I. That's why I want to get away from him.
but the difference is, it's just and I'm saying neither is right, neither is wrong. It's a personality thing, right? Is that I personally love diving into darkness. I love horror movies. I love gruesome stuff. I love the darker. I like DC more than Marvel because they're darker and more serious tone. And The Last of Us, excuse me, struck such a chord with me because it was willing to go so deep into the relationship between Joel and Ellie and what that meant in this world gone wrong, basically. And it talked about loss. It talked about depression. It talked about losing a child, being a father. I mean, it struck so many very, very serious chords, which to your earlier point, right? Gaming really hadn't kind of touched upon.
Metal Gear had some good writing, but the climactic moment of The Last of Us 1, the forced the no choice moment where you had to do the thing, is among the best writing, I think.
And I think it's that my whole point in all that was it's really your personal preference. I think what you're talking to, which it always is, of course, but it really comes down to that. But
I'm thinking about that scene. I'm like, God damn, it's genius. No, so like we have this like Last of Us isn't fun. It's like, no, actually what I think what Last of Us is it's a horror game that for the first time has a good story. Like I love Dead Space a lot. It's one of my favorite horror games of all time. I think a lot about how I play The Last of Us and how I play Dead Space is very similar to each other. Like Last of Us as well, when you just take a look at like what you're kind of doing, you could tell that like, oh yeah, this guy's favorite game is Resident Evil 4. Like this, he has, I feel like for me, The Last of Us has, to me, what I love about survival horror, which is it is about that research. It is about like finding every little thing in the corner before you go, making every shot count, and being brutal about not just your executions, but what you have to do in order to survive. Dead Space is very, I remember the Dead Space 2 thing of just like, don't let your mother watch this game. That type of brutality is what I loved about The Last of Us. It felt, because The Last of Us was set on Earth instead of this, the Ishimura, it felt more, I guess, intense. So it's really the intensity that I love about, and I'm just trying to dissect it real time. The intensity that I love about horror games in The Last of Us, telling a story that I actually truly care about the broader, universe or the broader cast of characters rather than the sole survivor. So that's why I think The Last of Us is fun. It's a great game, and it's a fantastic story. It's just I don't think you like the intensity.
It sounds dark and twisted, I realize, but like that to me, what Joe just described, it's fun. That's my fun.
Yeah. Really? So I don't even think the mechanics of the horror there. No, let me back that up. Some of the mechanics in the horror elements are not fun to me at all. Some of the brick throwing, like
it's not great. It's not great.
To me, that doesn't do much for me. There is a scene that I feel very sick about from the first Last of Us when the fires surrounding you, you're Ellie, and that guy might have been doing some things to you. It's like suggested he was going to rape you or go through some sort of something was going to be awful there.
Yeah.
That wasn't horror to me. That didn't feel like horror to me. But going through the basements with the clickers, that felt like horror. And to me, there's a distinctive difference. And I think you can trace this back to the fantastical elements. I don't want human beings. It's kind of like The Walking Dead. I like the zombie parts. Sometimes, like when we got to the season with Negan, where it was all being monstrous. It's like, all right, man. Like I don't want humans as monsters.
So are The Walking Dead the zombies or the humans? Dun dun dun.
Yeah, no. Even like going just a little deeper. It's kind of like that scene that you allude to in The Last of Us. It's kind of just like Alien, right? Like Alien is the same. It's not just being hunted, but like what makes Alien horrific, or what I forget the director his name. Why am I forgetting? Why
Ridley
am I
Scott?
blanking? Whatever. Ridley Scott. What he wanted men to feel was that of pregnancy, and that, you know, that the implications that you were talking about as well. But through a man's perspective, that we for the first time had to feel that way, or feel threatened that something that we didn't want was pressed upon us, and it was imminent death was soon to follow, you know? So that is set in a sci-fi setting, and we could jive with that a little bit more because it's alien penis monsters, right? Where this one is more, oh damn, yeah, no, they were gonna eat this chick. And I think the thing that's I guess turns it on its head is that doesn't happen, and that person does end up paying the price.
Yeah, and I think they're dabbling with the cruelty of the real world, right? And that's what Walking Dead got popular for, is you dabble in the cruelty of the real world while simultaneously being in an extreme situation. And it shows the darkness of human personalities at their core. But this is an amazing conversation. Let me get to these super chats, and then Joe still hasn't given his fourth, which better not be sucker punch.
Yeah, we're not going to get to Xbox today.
Yeah. So, yeah, by the way, guys, it's been a fun conversation, but we spent a lot more time than we expected. So we may break this up and obviously continue this conversation on PlayStation. Maybe next episode we'll talk about Xbox specifically. Eric, Gay Positive with the $6.99 Canadian super chat. Thank you, brother. Almost none of the biggest PlayStation IPs of the PS4, PS5 era are tied to IPs from the PS1 and PS2 era. Shows incredible flexibility and growth in Sony studios, in my opinion. You are 100% correct. And that is a product of the Sean Layden era from the PlayStation 3 era, when he really directed PlayStation to begin to invest heavily into first-party development, which came to its fruition in the PS4 era, as we all know.
Which I think you'll see with Microsoft in the latter portions of
That's
this.
What we're hoping for. That's what we're hoping for. Yeah, we keep hoping. And then Miasma said, get some thicker socks. 20-pound super chat. It's very generous. Miasma.
Very generous. What does it mean?
I think he was talking to you, Luke, when you were talking about the seriousness of these games not being fun.
Is that what he's saying?
I think he's basically saying grow a thicker skin.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah. So Miasma, thank you very much for the super chat. Very, very appreciative. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
We
Joe,
got a lot of other comments on this as well.
I've been reading your chats, guys, from Gogol to Sanu and whatnot. I've been reading you guys. I love it.
Yeah.
And appreciate the cordialness as well.
Yeah.
And Diego, Ains absolutely has bodies.
Yeah. He said, I'm gaming's Dexter. Okay.
You know what it is? I think, Luke, what Last of Us is to you, Midsummer is to me. Because Midsummer is a horror movie that has stuck with me ever since I watched it once.
Okay.
And it is so unsettling that I can never do it again.
Awesome. By the way,
it's awesome. It's good. And I understand that. And it's a masterpiece of horror film.
Have you watched Hereditary?
I can't do that again. No, I have not.
What? All right, we're going off topic for 60 seconds. Yeah. So Ari Aster, who's the director of Midsummer, he got famous for making Hereditary. Hereditary is the better movie. Okay. Watch Hereditary. And then once you watch it again. Because you catch he plants so much stuff in the movie that it builds up towards the end that if you watch it a second time, you notice all throughout and you're like, holy shit, this dude's brilliant. But he did Midsummer as his second movie, but Hereditary is his magnum opus still to this day.
Okay. And here's the thing too, for me, I'm not a big horror guy, but horror games are the thing that speak to me more than horror movies.
Okay.
Yeah. Just something to consider.
And by the way, not to keep on this, but Midsummer, my wife just ordered the director's cut, which is 30 minutes longer on 4K, and we're gonna watch that.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Don't ever get mad at me about the Snyder cut again. Ever. Ever.
Midsummer's pretty slow too. It's a pretty slow movie.
Really,
I don't love it. Hereditary's better in my opinion, but it's still good.
So I got Insomniac, I got Santa Monica, I got Naughty Dog, and then I got Gorilla. I gotta give credit where Gorilla, do.
Sure.
And I'm gonna throw a curveball. Shout
boy.
out to XDev. XDev is the
And you're
team
doing
that works.
it sounds like you're trying to throw the I'm the one that's doing something special, so I can talk about
No,
that.
no. Trust me.
Get
It'll
outta
lead
here.
to something that is 100% on brand. Because of XDev, we got a special game by the likes of Demon's Souls, right? And because of that little game, we got this little ditty called Bloodborne.
Oh,
And I will
Jesus.
forever
Here
be
we
grateful.
go.
No, shut
Here
up.
we
30 frames
go.
in all of its glory. Who needs 60 when
It's
you got
not
30?
even 30. It's not even
You
30.
could have
When
thrown
it's
out
30, when it's 30,
so many other. Who made the one with the? Oh my gosh, I'm on Astro. Who made Astro's Playroom?
Asobi.
Yeah, you could have thrown out Asobi.
Sony Japan.
Yeah, now Asobi, right? Because
Now
merged
Asobi.
kinda
But remember, a lot of those people were let go. It's not
it's
not that whole team.
But
Yeah.
you could have thrown out.
Well, no,
XDev.
it is that team. It's nobody else.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
Um,
Sucks.
so-
it hurts.
That's not your
It
fifth.
hurts.
Come on, give us a real fifth.
No, it's Sucker Punch.
Okay,
Okay, don't give us a real fifth. Never mind.
Okay.
Forget it.
I was
Never mind.
worried because
Sorry.
like Sucker Punch kept. That's not a fair statement. I would say PS3 was rough for Sony. PS3 was rough, but the Infamous games were dope. Then Infamous Second Son and First Light were really good in the beginning phases of PlayStation 4. I mean, Infamous Second Son was a launch game. It did really cool effects. And then to take that and go into Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch is special. It's a good studio.
No,
God.
I will give credit where credit's due for Sucker Punch in that it's very similar to Guerrilla, right? They go from kind of one genre, one type of game, and they create something brand new, a brand new IP, brand new world, brand new characters, brand new gameplay, and they do it extremely well. And I we've joked about this, right? I think Ghost is a very good game. It's not kind of in my top, but there's no doubting that they created something very special, new, which is not easy to do. And I think in the broader picture, it speaks to how PlayStation supports their first party studios, right? How they support one another, because Ghost of Tsushima built upon what other companies had done. And it did it very well.
Yep.
Some would say the best. Ghost of Tsushima is I now I have the S tier games. I used to say like this is my favorite game of all time. There's so many of them. Like I got Bloodborne, I got Ghost, I got God of War, Last of Us, Halo. Like those games are Super Mario World. Like those games are like to me.
Yeah.
Mario 3.
Fuck
World.
Mario 3.
World.
Well, both. I mean, when you're arguing Mario 3 and World,
we're being dumb.
Yeah.
Now you're talking two of the greatest
But
of all time.
Luke is like the 80s Coca-Cola to what is like Coca-Cola.
He's
today.
New Coke, the Coke Classic.
Exactly. He's the crystal Pepsi of human beings. I've ever seen one.
Quite literally, if you look at him. I mean,
Guys, Pepsi stopped riots. Remember that Kardashian commercial?
That's true. Anyway, Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite games of all time. I have games that I think about on a weekly basis, and it's always Ghost of Tsushima, it is always Bloodborne, and now it's beginning to be Elden Ring. It's like these are games that I constantly think of.
You saved yourself at the end there because I was about to go in, but
yeah, I'm just like, that's a good time. Like I'll just see like a GIF, I'm like, oh, I should go back. Like that's how I think of Ghost of Tsushima. I love its combat. I adore its open world. To me, it's my favorite open world. I hate to break it to you, Ains.
That hurts, man.
I love petting
Over what,
foxes. I love
Ains?
Elden Ring. He's gonna say
I didn't
Elden
hear
Ring.
you.
I thought he was saying. I was like, what other Sony game? And then you were going outside of Sony games.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
No.
gotcha.
I think in terms of first, I mean, how many open worlds do they have? They have Horizon. They have Ghost.
God of War's wide
God
linear
of War's not
or
open
open.
world.
You
It's
would
hub
say it's
world.
wide linear. Wide
Hub
linear.
world. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Uncharted's not. So you have two.
Makes sense when you think about it. Okay.
So yeah, no, Ghost of Tsushima. I love it so much. That's why they're there, and because of
Days
my
Gone.
appreciation of that.
Days Gone is a bad open world. I could go. Well, Spider-Man is. That's fair, Eric.
Oh yeah, there you go. We're getting more. We're getting more.
Days Gone is technically open world, but it's designed in a way where you have to take certain paths. I could rant about that design all day.
If Spider-Man, I'm sorry, well, I cut you off.
No, you're fine. I was gonna say Days Gone deserves the 7 that it has. Maybe it's not that great of a game.
I think it's a very you can find the fun in it for sure, but you have to look. That's the problem. And whereas other most Sony games
very formulaic. Like when we talk about Sony games being formulaic, Days Gone is the product of all their other games, and it's worse than all of them.
The thing with Spider-Man's open world though is like it's very basic, and they had the blueprint of New York. I would like to see Spider-Man 2 take the same world and then give it more depth. Like going into certain buildings or exploring different elements of New York.
I'm Spider-Man. The last thing I want to do is be in a building.
Your point is well taken, but I'm saying as far as an open world, you can only do but so much, so they have to find ways to make it more interesting.
Yeah.
And we went down into the sewers in the PS1 Dreamcast Spider-Man. That was really fun.
Sure.
You could find ways to do it, but the problem with that open world is that you need those buildings to swing and be Spider-Man. And so we got to find a way on that one.
I think that there certainly could be more interactivity in the world. Like one of the things when I don't have a lot of time in Spider-Man on PS4. I did play it for a few hours. But one of the things was, the city is like cool looking and you see all the cars and the people and everything, but that's it. It's a background to what's going on. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it'd be nice if you could interact with it more.
It got better with Miles. Miles improved upon it. And there's still room for improvement for sure.
Yeah.
I hope we'll see. Wolverine may not be open world. We don't know.
Wolverine would be a dope wide linear game.
That's going to interest me more than Spider-Man just because of the character. I always love Wolverine. So.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people
those are my top 5 PlayStation studios, and that's why I think like Xbox is dead. Because like, what do they have? They have Obsidian. They have Playground Games. Like they have Rare. Like 343. Like what have they done with Halo? But like other than like
save it for next show.
There's nothing happening in Halo. Like what's going on? Like what's that ring all about? Like who is Asheron?
It's a rip off of Ringworld. I do want to point out that for all our conversations,
Waterworld.
Shut up, John. We're not close to the show. He said an hour 15. And you had a heart out, and now you don't.
Waterworld was
I'm literally recording another show after this, boys. Come on.
Okay, so, I gotta go back.
I want to point out for all the discussions that we've had today, we left out some great studios, and that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. I don't know that we're gonna have the same luxury or same depth of luxury when we do Xboxes on the next episode.
We don't because they haven't proven themselves yet. Right?
Yeah, very unproven. Only one studio has proven. No, that's not fair. 2.
No, there's more than that. But I mean, all the new.
We just became someone's worst PlayStation podcast with those comments, boys.
Look, you can point to Forza and Horizon, and then you can point to Sea of Thieves now.
Well, you guys are very Sea of Thieves biased, but
no, I know that's like a Destiny. Yeah. It's a niche. It's its thing, and it's got its community, and it's off to the side. They're doing their own thing, but you know what I mean. We'll talk on that for next episode.
Save that for next week.
Gogo does not like what we said. Boys, Ains.
Yes.
What you got coming up, man?
Damn, we forgot Housemark. PlayStation owns Housemark too.
I know. I was going to talk about Housemark too, and you guys.
Thank you, Duber.
We don't have time.
Yeah,
that's a very good.
Returnal's awesome. Play it. Yeah. So obviously here at Season Gaming, I say that every time, but you can find me Porsche Power on Twitter or Ains. Just look that up. Try not to find the girl profiles. I'm the only Ains on there. You can find me quickly. Other than that, check out Big Cast every Sunday morning. We're live like this. Great conversation, fun topics. Check us out over there. That's been a lot of fun. And then a lot of kind of unique content on the channel lately. A lot of growth on the channel. So just check out the overall channel beyond Big Cast and Cast Co-op. There's a lot of other videos you may be interested in, including some patron exclusive content that is kind of timed exclusive. So if you enjoy some of that, you can check us out over there too. Thank you very much. Chat, you've been awesome tonight, by the way. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah. Sorry, you go now.
Okay. My name's Luke. I host the Xbox Expansion Pass, and I had no interview on last week's episode. First one in a while where I didn't have an interview, and I don't think I'm going to have one on this upcoming episode because I needed a break. If I'm being honest, I have a written interview that's going to be sent to Season Gaming at some point over the next few weeks, and then I'll get back to having people on XEP. But I just needed to slow down because I've done a lot of them, and
Luke, they want to hear about your show, not about your excuses, you dumb bitch.
You guys can find it on all your podcast services. It's called the Xbox Expansion Pass. Please rate it 5 stars. It desperately needs it. And I don't know. That's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
You can find me at the Trophy Room of PlayStation Podcast. You know where to find me. You know all the things. You go on Google Play, you go on Apple Podcasts, you go on YouTube at the Trophy Room Show. Next time we talk about all the Xbox studios, I'm gonna let y'all know why Gears of War is better than Halo and why Coalition is secretly the best Xbox studio. But
Coalition is an amazing studio, but we will cover that.
Yeah, it's not the best, but it's up there.
Oh, they're really good.
I
they
hope
really are like underappreciated.
I hope you try to say Rare is better than Coalition. You better bring something more than a statement, because that's gonna be an easy dunk on your head if you try that.
No, actually,
yes, I know so.
See you next episode.
Honestly, you guys are gonna be pleasantly surprised what my favorite Xbox studio is. That's all I'm gonna say.
Some good ones.
Something dumb. Like HoloLens or some shit. I'm gonna be really upset.
HoloLens.
It's Mojang
or whatever. Like, shut up.
It's Mojang. It's Mojang. Mojang's
you know
the
what we're
best.
doing here. Shut up.
And remember that guy with the top hat? We don't talk about him anymore. Anybody? Love you all. Keep casting a call.